the biggest flaws with the manosphere. So I'm going to give you some background of why I can speak on this topic with such confidence, and it's because I'm in my 5th year of self-development, right? With that being said, all the things that are hitting the mainstream right now. So let's just say there was a huge, massive men's movement as of recently within the last, let's just say, 2 years, right? And some of the biggest contributors to those things are people like Andrew Tate, and there's been a lot of other people who have been a very, very positive, um, I would say, influence on the masses of the younger men. And what I will say though is, like I said, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been helping develop myself for 5 years. And with that being said, um, a lot of the philosophies and beliefs that have been coming out and going mainstream right now, I've already been on. I've already been on truly. So, like I said, I've evaluated and have had enough time to evaluate the good things, the bad things, the biggest flaws, um, and everything in between. Truly. And like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and discuss it on today's podcast. So, for the people that do not know what the Manosphere is, it is going to be the original self improvement. Basically, men helping each other out, um, in any way they possibly can, right? But by giving them the best advice that they need and just helping them out, right? Self improvement. If you're watching this podcast, you should be very, very familiar with self improvement, as that is why this podcast exists, is to help yourself for sure. So with that being said, one of the first pieces of things that I recognize to be a flaw within self improvement and the manosphere. So these things, I'm going to combine these things because they are very, very similar. They're not exactly interchangeable, but they're damn near interchangeable. Okay. So the first one is going to be, don't chase women, work on yourself, right? So this is something that is going to be spewed out in the self-development community, and I will say that there's going to be some validity behind this, right? And I do believe that there's going to be periods and moments in your life where you're going to really need to lock in and actually take full advantage of removing the distractions, whether this is men, whether this is women, right? This is going to apply to both, right? But basically disregard the entire agenda that you're attracted to, and focus in on yourself, right? Like I said, that is going to apply, and I think should be applied to most men in certain periods of their life. But what I will say though is, completely disregarding them for years at a time is terrible advice. Terrible advice, especially to the men that it's directed towards, which is going to be younger age males, right? If you think that it's a good idea to not get experience with women, right? Whether this is attracting them, whether this is just talking to them, understanding the attraction dynamics, whatever it is, right? If you think it's a good idea to just work on yourself and that will come naturally without any experience with women, you're dead wrong, truly. And that is why I wanted to mention that on today's podcast, because this is something that I see, right? I see this advice being given out, and I'm not going to say it's bad advice. It's not bad, particularly bad advice, because the intention is good. The intention is to develop yourself, so you can be more attractive to those people that you're trying to attract. But at the same time, if you are working on yourself, and if you don't have the confidence with women, you're going to be lacking, and women are going to feel this. They're going to be able to sense this about your character. You're gonna look on the outside like a very, very well put together person, when in reality you're gonna lack charisma. You're gonna lack, like I said, just understanding the attraction dynamics and what it takes to be upholding your frame, and things like that, right? Like, women like to test frame a lot of the time. So if you're a man that isn't used to that, right, and that you're working on yourself, um, women are going to be able to control you, and they're going to be able to make you crumble, right? Because you haven't understood exactly what you needed to do, and you haven't got the field experience that you needed to go ahead and avoid those situations, or not particularly avoid those situations, but to go ahead and properly handle those certain situations. So I do believe that, like I said, there's going to be periods in time where it's going to be applicable to you. But to be giving out this advice, and I see a lot of older men giving out this advice, right? Oh well, focus on yourself. Women are always going to be there, and they are right. They are right, right? Women are always going to be there, and you should work on yourself. But at the same time, I do believe that searching for that feminine energy, right? Especially going long periods of time without it is going to make you want it even more, right? And then regardless, anyways, right? I feel like most men can actually agree on this, right? When it comes to just wanting women in your life, wanting that feminine energy within your life. If you have it, it's going to take up some of your mind, and if you don't have it, it's still going to take up some of your mind. So you might as well pursue it to an extent. I do not believe in chasing women. If it feels right, then it feels right. That's one thing, right? But if it's something that you have to go completely out of your way and it has to be one of your main focuses, one of your top three focuses, then it's probably not something that you should be doing. And it should be, I would say after you get done with all your work, then that's something that you could put your time and energy into. But it should not be something that is one of the biggest detractors from your life. A lot of men get caught up within that. They get on dating apps. They get caught up. They just get caught up in the hype, man. And that's not going to be some of my advice that I give to most people. And yeah, that is going to be the first one. Like I said, the last thing a woman wants is a man that has not experienced women. That's it. Like that's exactly what it is, right? So you might as well get the experience. Like I said, get the experience talking to women, making eye contact, developing your sexual charisma, a lot of different things like that. You're going to need to do all those things because if you don't, um, even if you are developed, even if you have the money, even if you have the physical looks, if you don't have the infield experience, you are going to be lacking, and they're going to be able to feel you being a person who is lacking, right? And it is just an overall embarrassing experience, right? Plus, it kind of removes you from the social aspect that you should be getting anyways, and that's something that KJ just mentioned. I'm one of these people that lack social skills with women. However, I cannot isolate from just talking to them because exactly. It's social skills in general. Exactly what he mentioned, right? Um, it is going to be an absolute necessity when it comes to building the person that you want to be. For the most part, right? At least the person you should be trying to go ahead and pursue. So, definitely get the infield experience. I'm not saying completely indulge within that, but I'm saying it's better to have the experience than to not have the experience because, like I said, later in life, it's not going to be as ideal, right? All right. The next thing I would recommend, or the next flaw that I see within the self improvement slash Manosphere community is going to be. Hold up, man. Why is the lighting all of a sudden buns, man? Hold up, man. It is going to be the overabundance of instilling habits within self development, right? If you're a person who consumes self development community and all the inputs that it gives you, it's going to recommend a lot of different habits. So I'm going to give you some of the ones that I see have went really mainstream. So cold plunge or cold showers, reading, obviously a good one. I'm trying to think what else. What are some other good ones? Meditation. Um, what are some really good ones? Obviously, going to the gym and things like that. I'm trying to think of some other ones. I've mentioned a few of them on this podcast before, so I'm sure I have a podcast on habits and things like that. But there's going to be a lot of different habits that they recommend for you to go ahead and implement within your life. What I will say though is most people see those things and they don't exactly take action, and that's when it becomes a problem. They get into this place where they have an abundance of knowledge coming in. They have an abundance of recommendations when it comes to habits, right? And then they get this thing called option indecision, right? This is a word that I made up, and haven't heard anybody use this, but this is exactly what happens, and I've seen it time and time again within my own experience and within the experiences of others, right? Option indecision is basically when you have so much of abundance of options that you don't exactly know which one to choose, so you don't probably choose any at all, right? And it's kind of hard for you to pick one and stick with one because the next one sounds tempting and you're getting bombarded with like seven or eight other potential ones that you might be interested in doing. But when it comes down to habits and like I said, kind of taking on that, right? I don't want to just be talking about the biggest flaws and not kind of going about the way that I would recommend going ahead and do it. This is going to be choosing a few of them and then cycling through them, right? If there's a few that interest you, start with one, right? Start with one or two, get into that, let it become a part of your life, and if it's something that you can attach to the bare minimum of your life, then go ahead and do that. But if it's something that you believe that you won't be able to completely maintain for a long period of time, understand that that is just a cycle of life. That is just a thing that was a part of your routine at one point in time, and that is completely okay. I feel like a lot of people are not okay with sacrificing some of these habits, right? You need to try other things out. You truly need to try other things out, and you'll get different things from each of these habits. Each of these habits will give you a certain thing that will um, give you some utility in your life, right? Give you some type of focus that is different than one of your typical focuses. And I think this is also something that people should definitely take into account. But like I said, they just go about it the wrong way. So that is going to be another flaw that I see within the self development community.